submersion. It comes back in different ways, but this more than any other. We're out of town, drinking in an empty beachside bar in a small resort down by the coast. The season is pretty much at an end, the bar owner tells us. That's why it's so quiet. I smile politely. Your face is turned away towards the little television set, skewered into a roof beam among old postcards and fading paper garlands. The rain has started up again. It taps and dribbles on the low corrugated roof. This has been a bumper season, the bar owner is saying, owing to the drought. The tourists have come in record numbers to lie on the beach and trek through the forest up to the fertility monument. The governor and his wife were down here for a whole 2 weeks. A teenage boy died in a jet ski accident. Look, you say then, your eyes still on the television. There are always warnings. Every year at around this time. Not that anybody ever takes much notice. If it floods, is the attitude we've always taken. The previous year the rains came late and released a rare brief joy through our town. Morris Peak danced in the square. Groups of children ran down to the swollen river to play and smoke and cut channels into Van Steerman's soft wet fields. When the banks overflowed, Van Steerman's fields, as they always did, turned into a glistening brown swamp, his parsnips floating up to the surface as pale and bloated as baby's limbs. If it floods, but we've never known anything before like this. The bar owner and I turn to look with you at the television. It shows a moving aerial view of our town, or rather, the highest parts of it, the rest being underwater. At this stage, the head of the rusted cow above the sail yards is still visible, collapsed wooden stalls bobbing all around it. There are people gathered on the roof of the town hall and the hotel, and somebody is clinging, spread-eagled, to the side of the church steeple. It doesn't look to me like the vicar, but it's difficult to tell, never having seen him in that position before. The view moves over the town to the outskirts, and I notice with some surprise that a tattered "Give them the boot" banner covers most of the Morton's garage roof. It's weighted down with large rocks, as if they've long been expecting the cameras. You know that place? The bar owner asks. Yes, you say. We live there. I think he gives you a peculiar look at that point, although I can't be sure. The rain begins to pelt harder onto the roof. A dog, which has been asleep on the sand just inside the bar's entrance, walks over as if to join us in front of the television, but instead picks up a gristle of meat from underneath one of the bar stools and slumps onto the floor to chew at it. A feeling of quiet shame comes over me as I watch those images. Here is our town, on national television, a place where people store their junk, fridges, tyres, broken televisions, on their garage roofs. The vandalised statue in the town square has never been fixed. In desperation, the townspeople are now massing together on top of the dirty buildings, jumping and gesticulating at the helicopter. The drought has lasted all through the spring and summer, finally ended yesterday, according to the rolling news at the bottom of the screen. The rains intensified overnight, and at around 10 o'clock this morning, the river broke its banks. By 11 o'clock, all low-lying areas of the town were inundated with floodwater. The famous sail yards building, despite a sandbag barricade, has fallen apart. So too the post office, the old prison, and all the rest of the older wooden structures along the high street. The town hall, however, built from the thick grey stone mined further down the valley, and the supermarket, are still standing strong. Bloody hell, the bar owner mutters. Bloody hell. You don't say anything. You simply watch, and drink occasionally from your beer, the leathery red scars on your forearms clearly visible below the short sleeves of your shirt. A telephone rings in the back room, and the bar owner goes to answer it, and it is at this moment I can hear distinctly the excited pitch of the news reporter's voice, but he appears. The helicopter camera has panned down, and it's following an object that at first looks like some kind of dark box. But as the image grows closer, I see that it is in fact our father, asleep in his armchair, drifting down the high street. Instinctively, I turn towards you, and for a single moment you look away from the television, at me, with an expression not of shock or confusion, but rather, as I instantly take it to mean, of accusation. Our father is drifting now past the barber shop, recognisable only because the top of its pole is protruding from the water. His chair must then snag onto something beneath the surface, because it stops for a few seconds, stuck, tugging, as the image holds still and a familiar nausea begins to rise in my throat. The skin on his face is red and peeling, the scalp blistered, hairless. With a sudden rush, the chair comes free and races onwards in the current. I've always known that chair as something heavy, its rotten wood frame clung with green hessian, matted and spoiled from years of cigarette smoke and television meals, but it appears now light, buoyant. Its charred black shape glides through the water alongside the supermarket until it bumps, spinning, past a lamppost on the corner of Geddes Street. Yet through it all he remains asleep. His head bent forward and his shoulders hunched, arms loosely on his lap, as if it's a Christmas afternoon. And I'm struck right then with an awful sadness, or something worse, that here he is for everybody to see, exposed, alone, the giddy babble of the presenter talking about him. Only a short time earlier he would have been resting in the living room, watching the television, nodding off. And I glimpsed then the TV remote control, deformed and melted onto the armrest. I'll stop there because there's a section there. So thank you.